This is the Realme GT Master Edition disassembly. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe and follow me on Twitter so you'll be notified when I upload a new video. And if you need any tools, there are links in the description. First, the SIM tray needs to be removed. Next, we need to use a hairdryer or a heat gun to apply heat to the back plate to loosen up the adhesive underneath, and then we're going to use our plastic pry tool to pry the back plate off. Here's a better look at the vegan leather back plate. The glass camera lens covers can be replaced by applying heat and gently prying them off. And here's a look at the other side. There are 19 Phillips screws that need to be removed. Once the screws are removed, we're going to place our plastic pry tool in between the back housing and the frame of the screen and run it along the edges to pop off the catches. The back housing is made of plastic. There's an LED flash located here, and the NFC antenna is next to it. There's also graphene film which helps transfer heat. On the other side, we can see numerous antenna flex cables on the top and bottom of the assembly. Now that we have access to the battery cable, we're going to disconnect it first. Once the battery cable is disconnected, we can proceed to disconnect the rest of the cables. There's some graphene film that needs to be peeled back, which is covering the connector for the front-facing camera. There are two coaxial cables on the right side of the board that need to be disconnected by popping them off. Now the main board can be lifted up and removed. There's a 64 megapixel primary camera, an 8 megapixel ultra wide lens, and a 2 megapixel macro lens. None of the cameras have OIS. The camera connectors can be disconnected by just popping them off. There's a secondary microphone located on top underneath the shield, some copper tape over these shields, and rubber gaskets around these connectors. There is a rubber gasket around the battery connector as well. Once the copper tape is peeled back, we can see thermal pads on these chips. Here's a look with the thermal pads removed. The SIM reader is located on the back of the board, and there's more copper tape on the back shield as well as a lot of thermal paste. I'm not sure if every single phone of this model comes with this much thermal paste, but they did really go overboard with the amount of thermal paste on this. There's also a liquid damage indicator, which is a white sticker on the corner. Once the copper tape is peeled back, we can see more thermal paste on top of the processor and RAM, as well as this chip over here, and a thermal pad on this one. Now the speaker assembly can be removed. There's some more graphite film over the speaker, and there's a mesh filter over the opening. Here's the speaker itself, and the vibrator motor is located over here. Disconnect the screen cable. The flex cable is connecting the subboard to the main board, and the fingerprint reader cable. Also, the other ends of the coaxial cable need to be disconnected. Now the subboard can be lifted up and removed. The primary microphone is located in the center underneath the shield, and there are rubber gaskets around the charger port, headphone jack, and the connectors. Here's a look at the other side. If you needed to replace your screen, you'd have to remove the back plate, as well as the screws on the back housing, and then you'd disconnect the cables and remove the speaker assembly and subboard, giving you access to the screen cable. At that point, you'd heat up the front of the phone where the screen is to loosen up the adhesive underneath, pry your old screen off, apply new adhesive, reapply your new screen, making sure you run the cable back through the opening in the mid-frame, and reassemble your phone. The fingerprint reader is located here and is held down with some adhesive. In order to remove the battery, there are pull tabs provided to help us pry the battery off. Here's a better look at the two batteries, which are connected together as one. Once the battery adhesive is pulled back, we have a better look at the two flex cables which connect the main board to the subboard. Once those flex cables are peeled back and the film is peeled off, we can see the vapor chamber, which runs underneath the battery as well as the motherboard. Moving on, the flex cable for the power button and the volume keys are held on with adhesive, so if you needed to replace those, you would have to gently pry them off. The proximity sensor board is located on top, and next to it is the earpiece speaker, which is also held on with some adhesive. And there's another liquid damage indicator, which is this white sticker underneath the SIM reader. For the repairability score, I give this phone a 7.5 out of 10. Now it's time to put the phone back together. Once all the screws are back in place, apply new adhesive and reapply the backplate. Flip over the phone, power it on, and you're done. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.